welcome to Across the Line. My name is Beth. I'm here with Ollie, and today we're talking about the first race of the season, Bahrain. We've got lots of things to talk about, so let's just jump into it. Did you watch any of the run-up? So I watched the drivers' conference.
Oh,
Did you
no,
watch any of that?
no, I didn't know.
Okay, because there were some juicy things that come out of that drivers' conference. I'm not gonna lie, I was watching intently. So one of the things that I first picked up on was Carlos was obviously, there was a lot of questions directed towards Carlos. There were a lot of direct questions. So, do you know who was in the conference?
No.
It was Carlos, Lewis, Alex, Max, Fernando and Lando.
Right.
So most of the questions were directed at Carlos, Lewis and Fernando.
Well,
And the other three sort of just
that was a
sat
good
in silence for most of it. Yes, what I was saying was Carlos, he was saying that he doesn't know where he's going next year, but he's going to take his time and speak to all available options. So, I don't know. I don't think he knows where he's going, but I think it's very unlikely he won't get a seat next year.
Well, it's spoiled for choice because you have so many teams and half the grids whose contracts are expiring, so half the teams are open. So, spoiled for choice. Everyone's spoiled for choice, so that everyone needs to perform this year.
And perform he did, but we will get there. What else I pick up? Oh, Lewis as well. There were a lot of questions towards Lewis about if him knowing he was leaving, if that was going to change his attitude. And he was all about, no, obviously it's not, he's focused. But he's saying that there's a lot of love within the team, he still loves them and always will. It's going to be very emotional this season for him. Which, I mean, yeah. I still can't believe he's actually leaving Mercedes. It doesn't feel real.
No.
I can't actually, fathom it. Final thing I picked up was, this was a bit of a sneaky question, and it made me, I was a bit like, ooh. A journalist asked Lewis if they think George has the qualities of being a number one driver, and Lewis just sort of, stuttered for a minute and looked really confused, and then he was like, I don't know, I'm sure he can. And then he was like, oh no, George is great and stuff. But, the first bit, I was like, felt a bit awkward.
I mean, George's this year has got to prove himself to be that leadership role that he can take on when Lewis is gone, so he can take over. Whoever they replace him with, he needs to be that sort of main person inside Mercedes. Whereas a few years he didn't have to, right? He didn't have to in Williams, he didn't have to in Mercedes, but now he does this year. So,
speaking of that Mercedes spot, literally moments before this on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, there was I can't remember what source it was was some German paper or something. I have a screenshot of it. Was saying that apparently, actually let me get the direct thing up, that at the moment Max Verstappen is the hottest candidate for the Mercedes seat. Helmut Marko is concerned about the turbulence in the team could drive away not only Verstappen but star designer Adrian Newey. What do we think of that? Can you imagine Max Verstappen going to Mercedes?
No, because that's more unlikely than Hamilton going to Ferrari. It's just, I don't think it will happen. I mean, I know those rumours kind of started with Jos Verstappen, his dad, having a meeting with Toto Wolff.
Yeah.
But that's over the whole Christian Horner thing. But I just, I think the Mercedes team just doesn't work well with Verstappen. They're two different types of, you need your driver and your team to have the sort of same sync and to work well, where you just don't have that with Mercedes and Verstappen.
I think it would absolutely. Can you imagine, obviously when the news dropped that Lewis was moving to Ferrari, the internet broke. If the news dropped that Max was moving to Mercedes, I think the world would end.
Yeah, no,
can you imagine?
The first thing I do is check the date and make sure it wasn't April 1st. Because, and I really would wait. I wouldn't believe anyone unless it officially came from the teams, like I did with Hamilton, because that is just not something I can see working or happening.
Well, there's always rumours in F1. That's just part and parcel of it. So moving on from the conference, the first practice, immediately Zhao had braking issues, which it didn't strike me with confidence with Sauber, but I don't think they did that badly in the race.
Well, they're the best of the rest. They're 6th in the constructors. Zhou came 11th.
That's it. Zhao came 11th, which I think that's major improvement.
I knew he would. Well, it's he's always scored in Bahrain. This is the first time he hasn't. So it's actually a downgrade, but he's always performed so well at Bahrain. I don't know what him and that track just really works together, and he's just able to just click. For him, every single track should be Bahrain, because then he would be up there. Because I just don't know. He always performs really well on it.
Yeah, Bottas came 19th, so that's not.
Yeah,
But that's a big difference between 11th and 19th.
Well, that unfortunately Bottas had issues on the first lap with wing damage and stuff like that. So he
did.
They were both in good positions. As I said, Joe slightly better position because he's just slightly better on the track. It's like Norris and Austria, you know, that sort of.
Good comparison.
It's amazing to watch. Joe's one of my favourite to watch around Bahrain just because of that.
Another thing I got in practice was how much Max Verstappen was complaining about the car. Particularly, he said, a quote, "Everything is miles off," probably to do with the setup, and there being inconsistent downshift. There was being jumping. So Max was having a lot of trouble in P1. I mean, I think he topped in P1. I think he topped in all of them, I imagine. No, Daniel Ricciardo. Oh my god, Daniel Ricciardo topped in P1.
And then it was
Norris and Piastri.
Yeah.
And then Tsunoda.
Yes.
Racing Bulls really let me down. I'm sorry.
I mean,
I know it's just the first race. I know.
It's. I always like to wait until Australia, because then I feel like we've had that means we've had Bahrain, Saudi and Australia, very different tracks, so then you always get a feel for almost every single type of track, and then you can really start having a look of who's good where. They're good in low speed, they're good in high speed. So Racing Bulls at the moment, I don't know where their strengths are. I'm hoping they will reveal themselves. So
obviously, and then what happened was that Yuki was behind Magnussen and was within a second, and then it was a team order to tell them to swap him and Ricciardo, and then Ricciardo didn't. There's been lots of discourse because Ricciardo then didn't overtake Magnussen, and it was, should Ricciardo have given pace back to Tsunoda, but then Yuki dive bombed him.
But then it was also at the same time of the team order, Max Verstappen.
It was a team order.
Was behind them, so they had to go aside to get lapped. That's where I noticed where they were in DRS. As soon as they had the blue flag, both Racing Bulls had the blue flag, moved across, they were out of that 1 second gap.
So yeah, but there's been a lot of I've seen a lot of chatter of who was in the right, who was in the wrong, and then obviously Yuki sort of dive bombing Danny, and there's a little bit of tension after the race.
For me, again, first race of the season, so where the drivers finish, that's not exactly too important. I honestly don't think neither of them could get Magnussen because of Verstappen and the blue flag, and then also of just race pace by itself. And then
I guess the only thing is that neither of them got points, so even if he gave the position back, it's not like.
But it didn't affect anything. It would have affected drivers by 1 position. It didn't affect constructors. It was Ricciardo's comment about him being quite dramatic is quite true, considering it was for no points. It
was a little bit dramatic,
especially that dive bomb.
Yeah,
and then also giving him a haircut on the left after the dive bomb.
A little bit of a dramatic response from Yuki. I have seen a lot of people saying and I don't know how fair this is. I think it might be a little bit harsh that if Yuki wants that Red Bull seat, then this isn't how he should be behaving. And Daniel said something like, "Let's call it what it is. It's immaturity."
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was the smartest move personally. I understand he was probably quite frustrated but it was one position, and it was pretty much didn't really. There was no consequence.
It wasn't even for the best of the rest. It was still, you still get that position, and what, they were still going to be 13th, 12th, if they got that position.
13th and 14th is where they finished.
13th and 14th, yeah. So, you know, they wouldn't even have been 11th, so they wouldn't even have been close to the points.
No, I mean, whilst we're talking about those two, Magnussen did well for himself. Wasn't in the points, but he did finish 12th.
He did, yeah. So it seems Haas have, thank God, fixed that sort of. You know, they still have quite a good quali car. I mean, Hülkenberg has proven that, but they've also managed to tweak it and improve their race pace, and especially their tyre degradation, which Magnussen said has been the best improved aspect of this year's car.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the notes I made. There we go. Magnussen finishing 12th was great for me. I think he did really well that race, and then Hülkenberg was in 16th, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So not the best, but not the worst. But I think Haas put in a good performance.
Yeah,
also,
I mean,
Gunther on the track beforehand as well.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
and then also his post-race interview with Netflix still following him.
Even when he's not part of the team, Netflix is still.
Well, who knows? Maybe it's for a Steiner spin-off. Who knows?
Please. I am so for that. Can Gunther just commentate the entire race?
Well, no.
Can you imagine?
People were wanting, because of the Drive to Survive episode, people were wanting a Steiner and Bonito spin-off.
Yes, I saw that when they just travel around Italy.
Which
so
I would watch. I would 100% watch that.
I think that would be great. Before we go on to the race completely, there's another thing I wanted to mention that came out in practice, or a couple of things actually. There was an interview with Zach Brown, the team principal, of McLaren, and he said, like last year, for McLaren, the second half of the year is going to be when they bring in maximum potential. It's like, why couldn't it have just been the start of the year? Come on, Zach, please. Don't say this to me, not again.
But then there's also
they started better.
A lot of teams are bringing huge packages to the second half of the team, or even earlier.
Yes.
So I don't think we're gonna have another McLaren revival where they're all of a sudden a second faster in the second half of the season.
They didn't. In fact, they finished 6th and 8th. They were both in the points. There were only 5 teams in the top. Because both Red Bulls, both Ferraris, both Mercedes, both McLarens, and both Aston Martins were in the top 10.
I always count it as to count something as a good race. I need to have 7 teams in qualifying and 6 teams by the end of the race scoring points.
You only had 5.
And I only had 5. And I didn't even have, and it didn't have 7. It was 6 in qualifying, 5 in the race.
Quali. Have you got anything on Quali? Did you watch Quali?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
I watched most of it, but I had to leave for work, so I didn't. I watched Q1 and Q2, but I missed Q3 because I was at work. So tell me, how close was Q3?
I mean, it was close, right? It was closer than 2023. I'll put it that way. Right. You do start feeling a sense, and I mean, Charles Leclerc actually did have issues and messed up on his final Q3 lap, which would have put him on par, or if not better, than Max. So if anything, it was actually Charles's pole to lose, which he did lose, unfortunately.
He did.
He did.
This is a common occurrence.
Yeah, but at least it doesn't add to the stat of Charles Leclerc poles that Max has taken the win from.
Oh, God.
Because that is
a curse, man. Like, how many times? How many times can that possibly happen? Let's not count anymore, please. Let's not make this a thing in 2024, please, Charles Leclerc. So, Q1, we had Sargent, Ocon, Zhou, Gasly and Bottas going out. Both of the Alpines. I think Alpine is really struggling already.
It's the car's overweight. It's poorly aerodynamic. It's just not a good car. whatsoever.
And I think there's tension between the teammates as well. A little bit. Not even a little bit, there's massive tension between the teammates.
There's been tension since their karting championship. And
it feels like very unstable.
Yeah. I mean, it's always going to be. Because now it's going to be a case of who's going to be this leader or the best of the poor team, you know?
Because who would you say is their number one driver?
As much as I want it to be Gasly, since I'm wearing an Alpine Gasly hat, I think it's Ocon.
Are you actually? I've got mine sitting right beside me.
Yeah, I've got my Alpine Gasly hat.
I got an AlphaTauri one that just came through the post.
Oh,
very
fancy.
Nice.
That's a fossil now. That's a fossil now.
Very, very nice hat, I must admit. I really like it.
Yeah, AlphaTauri did do nice shit.
I think it's Ocon. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is a lot of tension. It feels very unstable at Alpine at the minute. You were just talking about there's changes of.
Yeah, they have two members of Alpine have resigned. Right, I do bunny ears with resigned. Essentially, they have been sacked. It's the sort of chief. Oh, where has it gone? Here it is. Lovely announcement. They are going to be changing the way sort of technical directors work. Whereas before, they had one position, one technical director, which they have now sacked. They are going to introduce 3 different technical directors that are going to sort of handle a different section of the position, whereas performance, engineering, and aerodynamics. Yeah, so unfortunately we've said goodbye to was it Dirk de Beer? Love that name, absolutely love it. It's a great name.
Well, I swear to God, there was someone called Mike Crack.
Yeah, that's the Aston Martin team principal.
Yeah, it was making me laugh so much.
Yeah. Okay, well that's just childish, right? That's just childish.
I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Why?
I did it.
Go on, explain. Why is Mike Crack funny?
Oh, come on!
No, I'm confused. Why is it funny?
You know why it's funny. Anyway.
No, I don't. Can you, but I'm confused now. Why is it funny?
Okay, Oliver. So, also out in Q1 was both Saubers, but Zhao did very well for himself. Although he started in 17th, he gained 6 positions.
Yes, he did.
Finished 11th, and Bottas, I believe, lost 3 because he finished in 19th.
Yeah, which again I don't hold against him. He had issues, so it wasn't exactly his fault.
Also at Q1 was Mr. Sargent, who, must admit, didn't have the strongest of races.
No, not whatsoever. I was expecting him to possibly. I wasn't expecting him to get out of Q1, but I was expecting him to top Q1. You know, which he didn't. He was bang smack in the middle.
But then his race itself wasn't great. He went off. I at first thought he was going to retire because it was almost like. I didn't think he was going to rejoin, but then he did, and he probably just kept him going for the data. But he finished like a lap behind everyone else. He was quite far back for most of it.
2 laps behind Max, a lap behind everyone else.
Yeah. Poor Logan, man. I mean, you're on my 2024 bingo card. I want points for you, man.
It seems, their issue is their new steering wheel.
Yeah, Williams is having a lot of issues as well.
Williams were complaining. Williams have introduced their new steering wheel, which Albon has complained, saying he's just having all this random crap pop up on his steering wheel, distracting him, and he's not able to actually do what he wants to do on it. Sargent was having issues with it as well. Which they should have just kept their lovely steering wheel, which I quite liked.
They also were having overheating problems. It kept saying karting hot popping up a lot, and obviously Alex had issues in testing, and it was just, it's not a strong start for Williams, I must admit. This hasn't been their best of racing, although Alex placed 13th in qualifying, and then he finished in 15th, so he lost position.
Yeah, so the race pace is not there,
which
is Williams. You know, it's the same last year where they were able to get the car into a good position for quali, but then Albon would be spending the entire race defending every single lap after lap, until the checkered flag.
I think is, I so want Williams to do well. I want them to do well. 'Cause I don't like seeing teams fail, because it's really heartbreaking, because obviously you know how much effort everyone puts in, and it's just like, I just really like Alex, and it's just, he's such a good driver. I don't know, it's not great, is it, for Williams at the minute?
I mean, yeah, I would
But
say
that's just how it is.
I would say, as I said, half the drivers have their contracts expiring, but he's been secured till next year, so he's got to stay there. He's got to stick it out. Sargent can go. Do you think? I mean, I think Sargent really has to put in something this season, because 100%.
although there was last year that James Vowles was like, we know what we need to do. We still have confidence in him. It's a bit like, I feel like he has to perform now, otherwise they will look for other drivers.
Oh yeah, they'll just boot him out. He needs to perform. He needs to get points on his own merit and not get points after people ahead of him have been given penalties.
Which sucks, because it makes me really sad. I know F1 is a very brutal sport. We know this. It's very cutthroat. You know, if you're not performing well enough, there is somebody who will replace you. That's just how it works. But it's hard knowing that this is what they've worked for their entire lives, and when it comes to it, obviously with what happened with Nick de Vries last year, when it comes to it just doesn't work out for them, and I can't imagine how that must feel.
Well, you know, Nick de Vries, he's doing well in World Endurance Championship, but
he was doing it with Mick Schumacher was driving with them,
Alpine.
and Jenson Button was doing it as well, and somebody else, I've forgotten his name. I can literally picture his face. The name has slipped from my mind. This is so annoying. I've got to find out now. Hang on.
Oh god, okay. Alright, I'll wait.
It's Antonio Gia.
Ginat. No.
Yes,
I can never pronounce it. I know who you mean. He drives Ferrari. He's a Ferrari reserve driver. He used to drive for Alfa Romeo. I know him.
Is it Ginat?
I just can't pronounce his last name.
This is so bad. We look like such awful people. Look how knowledgeable we are, guys.
No, we know who he is.
This is really frustrating me.
I know how to spell it as well, but I just don't know how to pronounce it.
Antonio. I'm searching for. There we go. Antonio.
Doing Google Translate and then just hit the microphone.
Giovinazzi. That's what.
That's what we'll go with.
Anyway, we got vastly off track. Charles. Let's talk about Ferrari. Obviously, Carlos Sainz, third. What a race for Carlos Sainz. Personally, I think he's in his he knows he's not got a seat. Yeah, 100%. He knows he's not got a seat for next year.
Everyone is here for it.
Performance.
Everyone is here for it.
I
was screaming at the TV going, good for you, because honestly,
yes!
Seriously, good for him, right? He's been sat by the team and he's
him.
just done a middle finger and saying, right, if you want to sack me, I'm going to make you regret it.
I'm going to do the best performance. He's like, I'm going to do well for you this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to do really well for you and you're going to regret this.
Yeah.
Well,
which, if anything, Ferrari kind of don't... Well, they do obviously want him to do well in terms of the championship, but if he does well for them, that means they might have made a poor decision, and, you know, it
just depends on how Lewis performs next year.
Which, currently...
So, obviously, we've spoken about Carlos, he placed third. I was overjoyed. I bet you finished that race and you were like, I bet Beth is sat there cheering.
I went instantly on your Instagram, and then what did I see? Oh wait, the bloody F1.
The P3. What can you expect? But obviously his teammate Charles was having some issues right from the start. There was understeering issues and there was brake issues, particularly with the, oh my god, my lefts and my rights. Right, front, no.
It was left.
My lefts and my rights are so poor.
I think. Right. Was it right? I think it was right.
One of the front wheels
When he was braking, it was turning
Yes.
turning right.
Yes, there we go. And he was. I mean, he placed fourth, so.
Yeah,
Not bad, he got points.
He did do well. Which, I mean, he placed fourth. He managed. Russell was catching him at the end, but then obviously there was just not enough laps in it to actually get him.
No.
But I think. I don't know. I mean, I think Leclerc might do better than him, and this was just Leclerc's having technical issues.
I imagine it was setup issues. I imagine they had just something different, and it just wasn't working for Charles. And what they had for Carlos clearly worked. But I also do think Carlos is in his villain-arc era, and I'm believing in that he's gonna beast every single race. And yeah,
there was quite a few setup issues. Obviously the Williams, you had Leclerc, and then also you had Hamilton, who was making this. Was constantly repeating, we sacrificed the setup for quali to have better race pace, so hopefully that'll be better, blah, blah, blah. Qualified 8th. Was it 8th or 9th? 9th. I think it was. He qualified 9th and then finished 7th. So it looks like...
qualified 3rd and finished 5th.
It looks like he didn't have neither good quali pace or race pace.
No, I mean, also with Hamilton, his seat broke.
Yeah.
That put a little bit of fear into me. I don't know if you've heard anything else about that. I haven't, but his seat broke, which is never a good thing. No. I thought the Mercedes looked alright, personally. As we said, they finished 5th and finished 7th. They were in a McLaren sandwich. Well, Hamilton was in a McLaren sandwich.
I think they'll be fighting McLaren this year. And if Ferrari make a mistake, which is Ferrari, so that's most likely going to happen, then they'll be fighting Ferrari. If Ferrari can stay on their game, they do not need to worry about Mercedes.
But I think Mercedes and McLaren have to worry about each other.
They have, 100%.
Who else? Obviously, I mean, we have to grace on them, don't we? Mr. Verstappen and Mr. Perez. Verstappen, again, was immediately... God knows how many seconds before. Like, it was immediate. And it was a bit like,
He finished 15 seconds in front.
Again. Here we go again. I'll see you next season, ladies and gentlemen. And he got fastest lap. Yep. Also, the performer... He was on... Okay, let me get this right. This is off the top of my head. They all started on softs.
Yes, they did.
I know that Hulkenberg pitted early because he had damage. It was Hulkenberg, right?
Yeah.
He went onto hards, and then they all went onto hards at some point or another. But Max put in a good shift on those softs. That was my point.
Both Verstappen and Checo proved that the Red Bull has next to no tyre degradation, because Max proved it in his first stint on the softs, going so much further than everyone else whilst they were on the hards, and then also Checo in the last stint where he went back on the softs. Sainz was on the hards. Ferrari were like, right, you're going to catch him now. Nope, we're actually Checo's still pushing the gap apart. So
race engineer chimed in and was like, "Oh, performance on softs is better than we thought it was going to be," and it's like, "Oh, great, thank you for that." Because Ferrari chimed in and were like, "Oh yeah," because Carlos was asking when the hards were going to be faster than the softs, because that's what you expect to happen, and he was like, race engineer was like, "Yeah, it should be this lap," and then a couple laps later, Checo's race engineer was like, "No, sorry, you thought wrong."
I think it was about 12 laps. From what Ferrari expected to what it actually was on Sainz catching Checo.
Yeah.
So the tyre degradation, I think all round for the teams, the tyre degradation has improved quite a lot.
100%.
But for Red Bull, they seem to have just eliminated it.
Which
is brilliant.
Asian, well, for you, yeah.
Because we could just overcut everyone.
What was I going to mention? Carlos Sainz got driver of the day. He did 2 overtakes, both on his own teammate. So...
Yeah, the Ferrari fight was quite juicy. But although Charles's wheel nearly went into Sainz's side pod, but... That's what made it juicy.
But I think it was right that Carlos went in front because obviously Charles was having problems, and you don't really want to sabotage.
Oh yeah. It was the right. I don't know whether it was team orders to swap or Sainz
I don't
did
think
just.
it was. I think it was just Sainz.
The way Leclerc handled it, yeah, it wasn't. So it's gonna be close between those Ferraris this year, 100%.
Hopefully we can get those issues with Charles's car sorted out, because I think if we do, I think we could be, besides Red Bull, I could just be saying this as a delulu Ferrari fan, a force to be reckoned with.
Well, no, as I said, Leclerc was on track to beat Max's time in quali and be on pole.
But unfortunately,
but unfortunately, it was
work
not meant to
like
be.
that, no, it doesn't. So we have spoken about Red Bull, we've spoken about Ferrari,
Yep.
touched on Mercedes, we've briefly touched on McLaren. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about McLaren? Because I mentioned Zach Brown and what he was saying about Lando. Race itself, obviously they're performing much better than they did at the start of last year. They're in the points, both of them. Norris was 6th, Oscar was 8th. I think they're doing okay. I don't think there's any major concerns for me at the minute.
No, I think I'd like to wait a few more races to see, as like I said, with all the tracks being so different in the first 3 rounds, then I can sort of see how, okay, this is how it might play out for the rest of the season. And then it also turns into how fastly they can develop the car.
Well, if Zach Brown is saying that it's going to get better in the second half of the season, and this is where we currently are, then that can only be a good thing. But you can never promise anything really in F1, can you?
No, but it's like people are developing quickly. I mean, Red Bull have already said they're delivering a huge package in both Japan and Imola.
That's exciting.
I think Japan is where we're going full on 0 side pods now that we know it works.
Ooh, okay. No, I'm excited.
Yeah.
So
where I can just do a big middle finger to Mercedes, who couldn't get it to work.
Oh, bless.
Which is just hilarious.
The team that we haven't really touched on is Aston Martin. A little bit of a quiet race from them. I mean, they finished 9th and 10th. They finished within the points.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just sort of cleaned up the crumbs.
They just sort of
Stroll, I give him credit where credit's due. He spun out first lap. He was last by the first lap, and then he finished 10th. Right? He put in a good shift.
Well done, Stroll.
He put in a good shift. He did. Whether he can actually keep up, who knows? No, but
I mean, wasn't really much else.
For me, it was an okay race. It was like a 3 out of 5 kind of race.
So, here's a genuine question. I get so elated and excited whenever I see a McLaren or a Ferrari on the podium, especially Carlos or Oscar. I just get so excited about it. Do you get, do you care?
Do I care? Of course I care!
Not care.
What kind of questions that do I care?
That came out wrong. That was worded wrong. That was worded wrong.
Do I care?
Obviously, do you expect Max to be placing first? Is this an expectation for you now?
No. Because I know as soon, I mean, I don't want Red Bull to always be dominating. I think, it's like Brawn was the perfect example, right? Back in 2009, they dominated for half the season, they won the championship, and that was it. So when you have domination, it lasts in short bursts, not like Mercedes dominance or Red Bull's dominance, So at some point, I don't want them to win, but I want them to win now, because there is the possibility we can overtake Mercedes with total race wins.
Do you think Max is going to continue and aim to beat Schumacher and Hamilton's record? Do you think that's his goal?
Oh, well, he's the 3rd-time champion now, right?
So he's almost on par with Sebastian Vettel. If he wins this season, he's on par with Sebastian Vettel.
I don't think so, because he's made, he's not too happy with how the season is already. He doesn't like how long it is. He's made comments saying he doesn't. It's almost like Kimi Räikkönen, he's like, oh, I don't want to be here for that long. I don't have to be here if I don't want to.
Good point.
And I think maybe he'll settle on 5 or 6. You know, I don't. Maybe he will. Maybe the Rebel dominance will just be non-stop.
Interesting question. I was speaking about it with my partner. And this is the one thing. If I could ask anything to any of the drivers, I'd ask Max Verstappen. Do you get bored of being out front so far every race, or is there the same adrenaline? Because it's like he goes out so far that there is nothing. No one is fighting with him. And it's like, is this what you wanted? Or do you miss being a part of there being a bit of a battle? Do you miss fighting for it? That's what I would ask. So if Max Verstappen, if you could answer that question, that'd be great.
I can try and answer it for you. Yes, because I'm not sure you did. Oh no, you didn't. You said you didn't watch the end of qualifying. In the interview, one of the interviewers was saying, you know, the field is so close, what do you think about it? And then his face lit up with a huge smile, and he says he just loves the close racing, he loves the teams being so close. So, you know, but that's what every driver wants. You know, they're a racing driver. They want to race with other drivers.
I just feel like he's in a league of his own. He's racing by himself, and that must get a little bit... I mean, can it ever really be boring? Really?
No.
But and there must be. Does he have this? Like, does winning every race? Does he have the same adrenaline? I mean, I guess you could ask the same to people like Lewis. You could ask Sebastian Vettel, but it's like, does it feel the same? Knowing that you were so far in front of everyone that it was.
I think while there's still titles, and whilst there's still records, and stuff like that, it won't be boring because you're working towards them. As I said, I mean, with Max Verstappen's win in Bahrain, we are now tied with Williams with all-time wins, 144, and then we're, I think, maybe 18, 19 away from Mercedes. So you know, it's now bigger than the championship for that year. It's almost like legacy of the team.
I mean, whatever happens, Max Verstappen is going to go down as one of the greatest racing drivers.
Oh, 100%.
There's no doubt about it. Max
100%.
Verstappen will be in the history books because
he'll be involved in the
driver.
argument. It was always the argument of Schumacher and Hamilton, and I think by the end of this, it will be an argument of Schumacher, Hamilton, and Verstappen.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Again, my partner we were speaking about it, and somewhere, I don't know where he saw this, but someone said that Hamilton is now Verstappen's ex-rival, which is like,
I mean, they haven't. Yeah, they haven't. I mean, I think the last time I can remember that they sort of had a little tussle was
surely.
It was 23 Hungary where Hamilton got pole.
Right.
But then that was like turn one, and that was it.
There's no competition between them anymore.
I mean,
there is
Hamilton,
just such a clear. I mean, apart from obviously Lewis holding the titles.
It's 2.5 years since his last win.
That's mental. Because I know we're going massively off track here, but when I think of growing up, Lewis Hamilton has always been the world champion. And Mercedes has always been the world champion. And Red Bull for a little bit, but like, it's just so weird. I don't know about you, but whenever a Formula 1 would come up in conversation when we was younger in school, it was always Lewis Hamilton. Him being British, him being, you know, just like this icon of the sport. And now it's just like,
I'm trying to.
I think Lewis.
I'm trying to remember what. No, I think. Because it was my dad's who was usually watched it, and then I just sort of caught an eye. And I think for me it was not Schumacher's day, that was too early, but it was sort of for end of Ferrari's day. Then you sort of had the early 2000s where it wasn't really anyone's day. You know, you had Renault, then you had a McLaren, and then you had Brawn.
Ferrari had a win in 2007. Thank you, Kimi Räikkönen.
And then there was Vettel. So I think my first dominance, where I was into the sport, was Red Bull's Vettel.
when I was younger, if anyone said Formula 1, I would always just picture Lewis at Silverstone, and now if someone says Formula 1, I think people would go, oh yeah, Max Verstappen. It's just, I don't know, it's crazy. It's crazy how things change.
Because we're getting old. We're old fucks.
But this must have been the same with, like, Schumacher and Vettel. Like, that whole thing. And then when it was Senna and then Schumacher and so on and so forth. And Lauda and you know what I mean. Anyway, I think we've rambled on enough. Unless there's anything else that you want to say or input.
Well, the final thing we have is to check our bingo cards.
Right.
I can't believe you forgot this. The bingo cards.
Sorry,
my
memory's poor. Okay, well.
Unfortunately, I don't think I can tick off a single thing.
Neither. I mean, technically, we've both got technical maybes, but if we're talking about strictly race action,
then no.
Probably not. No.
And I think
Yuki
maybe
didn't swear, and
no.
I was so disappointed. I was like, Yuki, this was your perfect opportunity. You could have gotten me a bingo point.
But I think, we can do some technicalities, but I think you're right. Maybe we should just stick it to race.
Yeah. What happens within the 2 hours of a race?
Yeah. What happens from the green light to the checkered flag?
Oh, but the only one I have that would happen outside of that is team principal or someone.
Oh yeah, and like podiums, unless it's specific, you know.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, neither of us can tick anything off. So we're still tied at last.
What do you think the first one to get ticked off is going to be?
I
so thought it was going to be Yuki, but I kind of think it might be Oscar outperforming Lando.
Oh, see this right. I think it's going to be Perez beats Verstappen.
I didn't know you had that one.
I do. I have Perez beats Verstappen, which I think he'll do in Saudi Arabia. But you know,
I thought my numbers have been wrong. Because I was convinced. I've gone a bit blurry on my camera. There we go. I for some reason had it in my head that Oscar was 7th and Lando was 8th.
Oh, yeah.
It was the other way around. So I was like, that he's got one correct up.
No, I double checked that one as well because I got Piastri out qualies Norris, so I double checked as well.
Yeah, for some reason going into the race I was like, oh god, he's already got one ticked off. Like, damn it, like.
But no,
anyway.
Unfortunately, can't take anything off. Although, final thing I do want to right, we're going into Saudi Arabia. Currently, as we are recording this is the 4th, the Monday, right? So 2 days after Bahrain. And only, I'm not good at maths. 3 days. Wait. Tuesday, Wednesday. So yeah, Thursday. 3 days till. Thank you. Till Saudi Arabia. Your podium predictions. We did it last time. You beat me.
I beat you. I had 2 drivers in the right place. You had 1. Okay.
We both predicted the teams though, so well done us.
Woo! So should I go first this time?
Yeah, go on.
Go on.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be Max. Oh, actually, hang about. Because it's Saudi Arabia.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
Shh. I'm trying to. No, okay. Didn't Perez win at Saudi Arabia last year?
No.
I'm being stupid. Anyway, Max, Perez.
Ooh.
I was going to say Charles, but I don't know.
Do you believe in science? Do you believe he's your driver? That's mad if you don't believe in him.
No. You know what? I'm gonna be rogue here. I'm gonna be really rogue. Max.
Go on. Say McLaren.
Russell.
You're gonna say. Oh, Mercedes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Right, I'm going Perez.
Nice. Right. Okay.
That would get me a bingo point. The king of the street circuits, please come back.
That's why I was so thinking it was going to be Perez, but I was like,
he did. He won in Saudi last year.
I said that, and you were like, no.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say anything.
You made me unbelieve myself. I knew I was right. No, I'm still going to say Max.
Yeah. But no, so Perez, Verstappen, and then I think Sainz. So I think we're gonna have the same. I think it's gonna be a copy and paste podium.
I would absolutely love that. So there's no. objections from me there.
But no, I think that is everything. Yeah? Unless
Yeah.
there's... Cool. Well,
No,
we hope
we'll
you
be
hope
back
you enjoyed
next
the sort of rundown of Bahrain. We're going to be back after Saudi Arabia, where we're going to talk about Saudi Arabia, do a prediction for Australia, blah, 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 blah. Same routine. But we hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed us rambling on about this random crap. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, and then follow us on all the other social medias where we'll do different things. So we'll see you all in a bit.
Bye.